Single player selected.
And welcome friends, welcome to Pugman and Chippants.
Hey!
You're watching Pugman Plays and welcome to a Konami game. Welcome friends to a very long introduction.
If it's by Konami, I'm happy to just sit here and watch, Pug. They did Sunset Riders.
Right, they did. But this is a Hideo Kojima game.
Okay, totally different, right? Got a shark coming at us.
The nuclear weapons disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island in Alaska's Fox Archipelago was attacked and captured by next-generation special forces, being led by members of Foxhound. They're demanding that the government turn over the remains of Big Boss. And they say that if their demands are not met within 24 hours, they'll launch a nuclear weapon. You'll have two mission objectives. First, you're to rescue DARPA Chief Donald Anderson and the president of Armstech, Kenneth Baker. Both are being held as hostages. Secondly, you're to investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to make a nuclear strike and stop them if they do.
What's the insertion method?
We'll approach the disposal facility by sub.
And then?
We'll launch a one-man SDV. After the SDV gets as close as it can, dispose of it. From there on, you'll have to swim.
Looks like a rough ride.
I wouldn't do it.
High-tech Special Forces Unit Foxhound. Your former unit, and one that I was a commander of.
So they're still around.
There are 6 members of Foxhound involved in this terrorist activity. Psycho Mantis, with his powerful psychic abilities. Sniper Wolf, the beautiful and deadly sharpshooter. Decoy Octopus, master of disguise. Vulcan Raven, giant and shaman. And Revolver Ocelot, specialist in interrogation and a formidable gunfighter. And finally, in charge of them, Foxhound's squad leader, Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
A man with the same codename as you. The nuclear weapons disposal facility covers the whole island. I'll instruct you by Codec after you reach your target.
Anyone going with me?
As usual, this is a one-man infiltration mission.
Weapons and equipment OSP?
Yes, this is a top-secret black op. Don't expect any official support.
Alrighty.
So friends, as I was saying, welcome to Metal Gear Solid Tactical Espionage Action.
Is it just me, Pug, or does it feel like they're setting him up for failure there?
Are you sensing that already, Chip Pants?
Like
You may have been born at night, Chip Pants, but you weren't born last night, were you? You didn't just hatch yesterday.
No.
Anyway, friends, I think this game needs a little introduction. Most people know it. This is, of course, on the PlayStation, the first for the PlayStation. It is the third in the series. There was 2 previous Metal Gear Solids released on the MSX and I think the Nintendo. But this is the first Metal Gear that I owned, and I loved it. So without further ado, friends, go grab your sandwich and drink. Actually, before I even get into that, Chip Pants, What do you
Yeah.
know about Metal Gear Solid? Have you played it?
No, never physically played it, but I've seen you play it a little bit here and there over the years, and we've also watched a couple playthroughs in the past of like the Phantom Pain.
Yeah,
Beautiful
we watched
looking
that.
game. And it's hooked me into the story. I'm curious to know how it's all began, where it all came from.
It's a very convoluted story, and this game was highly received, and rightly so. It's one of my favourite games. But to be honest with your friends, the controls for it are awful. The camera angles are bad, and even I would say and argue the gameplay itself is pretty shoddy. But somehow it's still a fun game when you play it, and like I said, one of my favourites. And it all comes down to, I think, the story and the character design and the attention to detail that Mr. Hideo Kojima put into it. He's put a lot of love into this, a lot of research, and I think you'll enjoy it, Chippants, because it's got a lot of story.
I like the stories.
Quite a deep little story. So without further ado, friends, go grab your sandwich and drink while we watch more of the backstory. We're not done yet. We're going to briefing.
Oh, we're going to briefing. You're playing this one right, Puck. I don't want to. Wait.
It's a toughie, Chippants.
Well, if you want to get through it, then you better play it.
It's been a long time, Snake.
I should have known you were behind this, Colonel.
That's no way to greet an old war buddy, Snake.
What do you want from me?
I just invited you here so we could have a talk.
Invited? That's what you call sending armed soldiers after me?
Sorry if they were a little rough with you. But we've got a serious situation here. Only you can get us out of it.
I'm retired from Foxhound. You're not my commander anymore, and I don't have to take orders from you or anyone else.
You will take these orders. I know it.
Excuse me.
Who's this?
Dr. Naomi Hunter. She's chief of Foxhound's medical staff and an expert in gene therapy.
Are you military?
No, civilian. I've been sent here from ATGC. Pleasure to meet you, Snake. Don't worry, this injection won't hurt a bit.
Yeah, right.
What's the shot for?
What's wrong? You don't like shots?
No. Who does?
Snake, listen up.
What a silly
It all
question.
went down 5 hours ago. Heavily armed soldiers occupied Shadow Moses Island, a remote island off the coast of Alaska.
What soldiers?
Next generation special forces, led by members of Unit Foxhound. They've presented Washington with a single demand, and they say that if it isn't met, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
A nuclear weapon?
I'm afraid so.
What do they want, Puck?
You see, the island is the site of a secret nuclear weapons disposal facility.
Foxhound hijacking a nuclear weapon?
Now you understand how serious the situation is. You'll have 2 mission objectives. First, you're to rescue the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson, and the president of Arms Tech, Kenneth Baker. They're both being held as hostages.
Those are some heavy-duty hostages.
Secondly, you're to investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to launch a nuclear strike, and stop them if they do. Any questions, Snake?
Questions? I haven't even said whether I'd accept this mission.
Well, you can make up your mind after you hear more about the situation.
Alright, let's hear some more.
So he doesn't exactly work for them. He was kidnapped and said, you know, you
Yeah.
better think about doing this mission.
He previously worked for the colonel that's talking to him, called
Yes.
Foxhound, and then he's like, I'm done with this. And then they captured him and said, hey, we need you again, basically. Alright, infiltration method.
Tell me about the nuclear weapon disposal facility.
The disposal facility includes a hardened underground base. Even with our most advanced intelligence gathering equipment, we can't tell what's happening inside.
So someone needs to penetrate, gather intelligence, and report back. Sounds like a spy movie. What's the insertion method?
Well, an air insertion is impossible.
Not with this storm going on.
We'll approach the disposal facility by sub.
Approach?
Yes, within a few miles of it. The facility is equipped with sonar detection capabilities. They'd be able to hear our engine or propeller noise.
And then?
We'll launch a one-man SDV.
Launch?
Same as a torpedo, only this has no propulsion device of its own. After the SDV gets as close as it can, dispose of it. From there on, you'll have to swim.
You want me to swim in sub-zero Alaskan water?
Don't worry. That suit represents the latest advances in polythermal technology. The nuclear weapons disposal facility covers the whole island. I'll instruct you by codec after you reach your target.
Anyone going with me?
As usual, this is a one-man infiltration mission.
Weapons and equipment OSP?
Pugman.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a top
Is Snake
secret
naked?
black op.
He's
Don't
naked,
expect any
Snake.
official support.
They, they kidnapped him and stripped him bare and then told him he had a job to do.
What I find interesting is that it looks like he's got blonde hair.
But I bet it's just
But
the
on-
colouring there, huh?
But on the cover and everything else, he doesn't have blonde hair, it's brown.
What's the time limit?
24 hours.
It's like a night vision
They
camera.
say they'll launch
Everybody's
after
hair looks
24
blonde in that.
hours.
Do they say what the target will be?
So far, they haven't mentioned the target.
When did the countdown start?
5 hours ago.
Okay. Person in charge of the operation.
What the hey?
I hope he's not naked.
It looks like he is. He's having a Sharon Stone moment.
Colonel, who are you speaking for?
Naturally, I'm representing the U.S. government.
So who's in supervisory control of this operation?
The President of the United States.
Which means that the President must be meeting with his top aides in the map room about now, huh?
No, at this point, they're still video conferencing with each other.
If that's a real nuclear warhead, shouldn't they issue a COG?
Not yet. The Secretary of Defense has operational control and
can
is
move the
fully
camera.
aware of the situation.
Oh my gosh,
After you
Pug.
infiltrate,
Camera
if you
up,
determine
camera
you
up.
possess nuclear launch capabilities, a COG will be issued.
That's
If they
crazy.
haven't relocated to the nuclear shelter under Mount Washington,
Even gives your
I
X,
suppose
Y,
there
and
isn't
Z
that much
coordinates.
reason to worry yet. Is the National Security Agency in on this?
Yes, so is the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency.
The DIA? I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this.
They'll be sending us some support.
Cameraman
Don't
needs to be
need
fired.
desk jockeys. We need a nuclear weapons specialist.
Of course.
Let's make you happy,
A nuclear
Chippants.
weapons specialist has already been assigned
that's
to
better.
us.
Support crew. Let's learn about them.
We need backup from a specialist. I'm just an amateur when it comes to nuclear weapons.
I know. That's why I've requested the assistance of a military analyst named Nastasha Romanenko. She'll be providing you backup by Codec.
A female
Say that 3
analyst?
times fast.
Nasty
She's built up an
Natalie.
impressive record as an advisor for the nuclear
Okay, well, there
emergency
you go.
search team. Contact her if you have any questions. She's also an expert on high-tech weapons.
Where's she working from?
At her home in Los Angeles.
California. Seems like a million miles away.
Not a bad job, get to work from home.
That's exactly what I was
I
thinking.
knew that what you were thinking, Chippants.
Good work if you can get it.
Alright, let's speak about Roy Campbell.
Be a nuclear specialist at home.
Colonel, you're retired. Why are you involved in this?
Because there aren't many people who know Foxhound as well as I do.
Is that really the only reason?
I've been soldiering for a long time. I don't know anything else. I guess even though I'm getting a little old, I still love to be in the field.
Colonel, you're a lousy liar. Tell me the real reason.
Okay,
Doesn't
Snake.
enjoy gardening.
Sorry. I'll be frank.
Who does?
He
A person
doesn't.
very dear
Who
to me
does?
is being held
Oh,
hostage.
I do.
Who is it?
My niece, Meryl.
Can't grow anything, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, you just kill everything. That's what you enjoy about it, isn't it, Chippants? Let's find out about Meryl.
What was your niece doing here?
Several soldiers were reported missing the day of the revolt. And my niece was one of those called in as an emergency replacement.
She looks like you.
She's my little brother's girl. He died in the Gulf War. Since then, I've been watching after her.
A personal motive, Colonel. That's not very soldierly.
I'm retired. I'm just an old man now. And I'm your friend.
Since when are we friends?
Yeah.
I've thought of us as friends since the fall of Zanzibar.
With my personality, I don't have too many friends.
That's what I trust about you. It's what makes you human. Please, Snake. Save my niece, Meryl.
All right. But I have two conditions.
Name them.
1, no more secrets between us. I want complete disclosure at all times. And 2, I'll only accept orders directly from you, Colonel. No cutoffs involved, okay?
Agreed. That's why I was called. But one thing.
What?
I'm not a colonel anymore. Just a retired old warhorse.
I understand, Colonel.
Aww.
Okay.
So his niece has also been kidnapped. We gotta rescue her as well. Okay.
Dr. Naomi.
That doctor, is she part of this operation too?
She was in charge of Foxhound's gene therapy. She knows more about those men than anyone else.
You mean you've seen them naked?
See
Make
you
no
naked.
mistake. I'm not a nurse. I'm a scientist.
By the way, what was that injection for?
It's a combination of nano-machines and an anti-freezing peptide so that your blood and other bodily fluids don't freeze, even at subarctic temperatures.
Nano-machines?
Not just one kind, either. There are different types which will replenish the supply of adrenaline, nutrition, and sugar in your bloodstream.
Now I don't have to worry about food.
I also put some nootropics in there.
Say what?
Nootropics. A class of drugs which will help improve your mental functioning.
It'll make me smarter, huh? Anything else?
Yes. Benzedrine. It's a type of stimulant. It'll keep you alert and responsive for 12 straight hours.
That was quite a cocktail. Anything else in there?
Those nanomachines will also keep your Codec's batteries charged up.
I guess I can call you when I'm ready to go on a diet.
You're welcome.
There's not much they didn't put in him.
And he seems okay with that.
He's hardcore as old Snake. You'll find that out, Chippants.
I'm ready to find it out. I've spent like first 15 minutes just learning about the mission. I'm ready to get
It's
in
very
there.
important. I bet you are, Chippants, and that's why
Snap some necks.
you would blow the mission. Let's learn about the hostages before you snap a hostage's neck.
Ah,
Need to know what they look like.
I guess. Show me a picture. Go on, Colonel. You be my
Chief of
colonel.
DARPA and the
I'm
president of an
Snake.
arms manufacturing company. What business did they have at a nuclear weapons disposal facility?
The truth is that secret exercises were being conducted at the time the terrorist group attacked.
Must be extremely important exercises if those two were directly involved. Were they testing some kind of new advanced weapon?
I'm not privy to that information.
Do we know exactly where they're being held?
The DARPA chief has also been injected with a mini transmitter. As you get closer, you should be able to pick up his location on your radar.
Okay, nuclear weapons.
They're not good.
Do
Next
they really
category.
have the ability to launch a nuclear missile?
They say they do. They even gave us the serial number of the warhead they plan to use.
Was the number confirmed?
I'm afraid so. At the very least, they've got their hands on a real nuclear warhead.
Isn't there some kind of safety device to prevent this type of terrorism?
Yes. Every missile and warhead in our arsenal is equipped with a PAL, which uses a discrete detonation code.
PAL.
Permissive Action Link. The safety control system built into all nuclear weapons systems. But even so, we can't rest easy.
Why not?
Because the DARPA chief knows the detonation code.
But even if they have a nuclear warhead, it must have been removed from its missile. All the missiles on these disposal sites are supposed to be dismantled. It's not that easy to get your hands on an ICBM.
That
I've
used to be
tried.
true. But since the end of the Cold War, you can get anything if you have enough money and the right connections.
Well, it doesn't sound good.
The level of detail that they've written into the story is beautiful so far.
Yeah, that's Hideo Kojima, really. He's done his research. He's well read.
How well armed are these terrorists? I know there was an exercise going on at the time they revolted.
They're heavily armed, I'm afraid.
What about their battle experience?
The 6 members of Foxhound in charge are all hardened veterans. They're tough enough to eat nails and ask for seconds.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Foxhound.
The others are next-generation special forces. They're not your average grunts either.
Terrorist demands.
So what exactly are they demanding?
A person's remains.
Remains?
That's right. To be more accurate, cell specimens which contain the individual's genomic information.
Cell specimens? Why would they want that?
The terrorists need them. You see, these next-generation special forces have been strengthened through gene therapy.
Strengthened?
You've heard of the Human Genome Project. They've been mapping the human genome, and they're nearly finished. Following up on this research, the military has been working towards identifying those genes which are responsible for making effective soldiers.
There are genes that do that?
Yes. And using gene therapy, they're able to transplant those genes into regular soldiers.
Gene therapy?
I'll explain this part. With gene therapy, we can remove those genes which we know may lead to sickness or disease, and at the same time splice in genes with beneficial effects, such as resistance to cancer, for example.
In other words, we can overcome all sorts of genetic diseases, and at the same time add genetic characteristics as desired.
Okay. And so if you knew what genes were responsible for making the perfect soldier, you could implant them in the same way, right?
Yes, we could.
But it all depends on being able to isolate and identify those soldier genes.
And in order to do that, it's helpful if you can study the genomic information of one of the greatest soldiers ever.
Genetic strengthening.
One of the greatest soldiers ever?
The man they call the greatest warrior of the 20th century.
You don't mean Big Boss.
That's right. We've been working feverishly to identify the genes
remember him,
responsible
Chippants,
for
from
his
Phantom?
incredible combat skills.
Was he the one in
So
the
far, we've
wheelchair?
discovered about 60 of the so-called
No, he was the
soldier
main guy.
genes.
So his body was recovered after.
Oh!
Yes. And his cells have
He
remained
looks like
frozen
Solid
in a
Snake,
cryo
right?
chamber.
Yeah, some
His
genetics.
genomic information is a priceless treasure to mankind.
Priceless to the military, perhaps.
His body was burned severely, but it was possible to restore his DNA profile from just a single strand of his hair.
You people are amazing. And then you're gonna transplant those genes into soldiers?
Yes. We'll use a process that I discovered called gene targeting. The strongest soldiers don't become what they are by acquiring their skills through training or experience. We now know that hereditary factors are far more crucial for creating superior soldiers.
Snake, we can't give them his body. It's potentially more dangerous than all the nuclear warheads on that island put together.
I hear the terrorists are calling themselves the Sons of Big Boss.
The sons of Big Boss?
What do you think about that, Pug?
About them using genetics.
Doesn't seem like,
They never use it in a positive manner, do they, Chippants? It's always a negative manner. Making the best soldier instead of making, I don't know, the most peaceful person you can make.
well, in one way, I mean, taking away disease and sickness and...
Yeah, but honestly, on one hand they're taking it away, on the other hand they're creating a disease and sickness in order to create a problem in the first place.
Yes. So, which side's the bad side? You know, when you think about it. Don't know. Make up our own minds, I guess.
Tell me about these next-generation special forces.
They started out as an anti-terrorist special ops unit, made up of former members of biochem units, technical escort units, and the nuclear emergency search team. Their purpose was to respond to threats involving next-generation weapons of mass destruction, including NBC weapons.
Until they were added, that is.
Who's they?
These guys didn't start out as regular army.
Looks like a pretty international group. Mercenaries?
Yeah, and it gets worse. Most of them were from a merc agency that I think you're familiar with. They were part of Big Boss's private guard. And after Big Boss went down, the military just bought out all their contracts.
Outer heaven.
After that, they were merged with our own VR unit, Force 21, and retrained. If you ask me, these so-called next-generation special forces should be called simulated soldiers. They have no real battle experience.
Video game players, huh?
Don't forget they've all been strengthened
taking a
with
swipe
gene
at us.
therapy. They carry genes which make them
Well, mate.
excellent soldiers. Don't get careless just because they don't have much experience.
Hey, I'm a video game player
I
now,
thought using
Chippants.
genetically modified soldiers was prohibited by international law.
Yes, but those are just declarations, not actual treaties.
The interesting thing is that nearly every member of the unit conspired in this attack.
Just to note, it was Snake that took down Big Boss in the previous games.
Okay, okay. So that's why he's dead to begin with.
Yep. The reason for unanimous approval.
How could an entire unit be subverted to rebellion?
They're calling it a revolution.
Since they all went through the same gene therapy, they probably felt closer than brothers. They see the unit as their only family.
The sons of Big Boss. But if they were regular army, they must have been interviewed periodically by army counselors.
According to their files, they all got straight A's on their psychological tests. They all seemed like fine, upstanding, patriotic soldiers.
But they all took part in the uprising?
No, several people didn't show up on the day of the exercise. That's why there was a resupply of troops.
Was there any sign recently that something might be wrong?
There was a report a month ago that they were acting strangely.
Apparently they consulted classified information about the soldier genes and performed their own gene therapy experiments.
They can do that even without you?
Well, our gene therapy process is almost completely automated. And besides that, they're all geniuses with IQs over 180.
Even the existence of this genome army is a national secret of the highest order. We've been hoping to investigate this thing quietly and deal with it behind closed doors.
They've been building a genetically engineered army.
That's the Foxhound, the sons of Big Boss, right? That's who they're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, Unit Foxhound.
High-tech Special Forces Unit Foxhound. Your former unit, and one that I was a commander of. An elite group combining firepower and expertise. They're every bit as good as when I was commanding them.
So they're still around.
There are 6 members of Foxhound involved in this terrorist activity. Psycho Mantis, with his powerful psychic abilities. Sniper Wolf, the beautiful and deadly sharpshooter. Decoy Octopus, master of disguise. Vulcan Raven, giant and shaman. And Revolver Ocelot, specialist in interrogation and a formidable gunfighter.
Looks like a lovely bunch of folks. Too bad we'll be meeting under these circumstances.
And finally, in charge of them, Foxhound's squad leader, Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake?
Yes. And you're the only person who can stand against him.
You heard that, Chippants?
Well, are they saying that Solid Snake was a part of this unit before and they were all
Yes.
commanded by the Colonel?
But probably at a different time period.
Okay, okay. Because
He's
his
sounding
response...
like he doesn't know them, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
So they've never met.
I probably
Liquid
shouldn't have
Snake.
watched Phantom Pain.
Liquid Snake. The man with the same codename as you.
Tell me what you know.
He fought in the Gulf War as a teenager, the youngest person in the SAS. His job was to track down and destroy mobile Scud missile launching platforms. You were there too, I believe. Didn't you infiltrate Western Iraq with a platoon of Green Berets?
I was just a kid myself back then.
The details are classified, but it seems that originally he penetrated the Middle East as a sleeper for the SIS.
He was a spy for the British Secret Intelligence Service?
But he never once showed his face in Century House. He was taken prisoner in Iraq, and after that there was no trace of him for several years. After you retired, he was rescued and became a member of Foxhound.
I thought that by the time I left, they were no longer using code names.
I don't know his real name. That information is so highly classified that even I can't look at it.
Just can't look at it.
Here's a photo of him.
It's there, but I just can't look at it.
Pretty shocking, huh? His skin tone is different, but otherwise you two are exact duplicates.
I have a twin?
I don't know the details, but it seems so. That's why we really need you for this mission.
You're the only one who can beat him. Now that I've met you, I know. You've got something that he doesn't. I can see it in your eyes.
No, please.
Why don't I find that thought more comforting?
Alright, then we have the briefing.
He's got more duty and honor than I do. I'd have been like, just good luck to you.
I need to borrow
I'm
your
retired.
scissors.
What are you going to do?
Don't worry, just gonna clean myself up a little.
Huh?
I don't want to be mistaken for the leader of the terrorists.
I'm sorry, what did they ask him to do? Did he ask for a haircut?
He didn't ask. He asked for scissors. He's cutting his own hair, Chippants. He's taking this seriously.
Oh.
Maybe we should do the same.
We're about to shave our heads then.
Alright, what else is there to show? Previous operations. Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. So I think this is just some text. I'll briefly read this. You can always skip forward. Telling us about the original game. So, are you ready?
I guess 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Okay.
Metal Gear, the very original game on the MSX. The year 1995. Deep in South Africa, 200 kilometers north of Gaziberg, Outer Heaven, an armed fortress nation established by the legendary mercenary. He was feared in combat by both his friends and foes as a hero and a lunatic. The Western nations found out that a weapon is under development at Outer Heaven. They have called upon the high-tech Special Force unit, Foxhound, to take care of the situation. In response to this order, Big Boss, Commander-in-Chief of Foxhound, sent Grey Fox, the man with the codename Fox, which is given to the best member of the unit. Operation Intrude N313. After a few days, his last message being Metal Gear... Grey Fox was missing in action. Taking the situation seriously, the top men of the West again called for Foxhound. Big Boss selected Solid Snake, who has just recently joined Foxhound as the agent and entrusted everything to him. Successfully making a solo infiltration to Outer Heaven, Snake got in touch with local resistance members Schneider, Diane, and Jennifer. With their cooperation, Snake succeeded in rescuing Grey Fox. Grey Fox then laid out the terrifying facts about Metal Gear. Metal Gear was the development name of a nuclear warhead equipped with two-legged walking tank.
A 2-legged walking tank. I want one.
It can walk through even the roughest terrains that would stop normal tanks. It can conduct local warfare by itself with unique weapons and its Vulcan cannon and anti-tank missiles. It was indeed a new type of weapon that can conduct a nuclear attack against any place on the face of the earth from any land, surface. With Metal Gear, Outer Heaven was trying to establish its military superiority over the entire world. In order to destroy Metal Gear, Snake rescued Metal Gear's chief engineer, Dr. Petrovich, and his daughter Aline, who was taken hostage to force her father to continue with his development. Snake hears from Dr. Petrovich how to destroy Metal Gear. However, as Snake approached the heart of Outer Heaven and Metal Gear, well-designed traps are set all around Snake. As as if all his actions are being leaked to the enemy. In the midst of the escalating battle, the leader of the resistance, Schneidner, fell into the hands of the enemy, and Snake himself was injured through the deadly battles with Outer Heaven's best mercenaries. But Snake's indomitable spirit led him to the 100th floor basement of the secret base where Metal Gear was developed, evading a powerful defense system that wipes out all intruders. Wow, 100 floors. Snake ultimately succeeded in destroying Metal Gear. Snake tried to escape from Outer Heaven upon completing the mission. However, during the escape he was confronted by one man, Foxhound, Commander-in-Chief, Big Boss. Big Boss laughed at the astounded Snake and told him of the truth about his mission. While serving as the Commander-in-Chief of Foxhound, Big Boss also ran a mercenary dispatch company, utilising his connections and capital from the years as a merc. He was planning to build this company a larger military establishment, and he built Outer Heaven as its base. His purpose for sending the rookie Snake to Outer Heaven was to cause information confusion against the West. However, Big Boss miscalculated. He never thought that Snake would make it this far. Having lost Metal Gear, Big Boss activated a self-destruction system of the underground base. While the countdown to destruction continued, his scream echoed in the emptiness. "You have gone too far, too far." On the 100th floor basement, the battle between the two men commenced, free of ideology and politics. The armed fortress nation Outer Heaven collapsed. The impenetrable fortress, made from the best military technology and occupied by the toughest mercenaries, burnt in flames. Behind him, the flames reached skyward as Outer Heaven fell, leaving Solid Snake all alone. Okay, so that's first game. So then we have Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake.
What'd you think about that one so far?
You can see there's a lot of backstabbing. If Big Boss was working for Foxhound, he's basically doing the old double agent type of thing and playing two sides against each other, and he's ruling them both. But he failed. Or did he? Okay, this doesn't start with a capital letter. Development of an alternate energy resource is far from completion. The price of petroleum has skyrocketed. The world economy is in confusion. The 21st century was expected to be one of chaos. One man's invention changed the entire situation. A Czech genius and biologist, Dr. K.O. Marv, invented Oilix, a microorganism that refines petroleum to produce a highly purified form of petroleum. The world was filled with hope upon the discovery of this messiah to solve the energy crisis, but at the same time the world entered a time of tension regarding this new algae. Just when the whole world's attention was drawn to Oilex and Dr. Marv, he was abducted by someone and disappeared. Nations began investigations immediately, and a name soon appeared: Zanzibar Land. Zanzibar Land was a democratic military regime that suddenly appeared in Central Asia in 1997. When the uprising took place, the CIS army, formed around Russia, sent a suppressive unit immediately. Zanzibar Land resisted by gathering a band of mercenaries from nations around the world and fortifying most of its land. As a result, the CIS army was repeatedly defeated and Zanzibar Land declared its independence. Due to the active role of mercenaries played, this war was called the Mercenary War, and Zanzibar Land was referred to as an armed fortress nation, a military nation with a group of strong mercenaries surrounded by a tough fortress. According to the latest information, Zanzibar supposedly was armed with nuclear weapons. The whole scenario was crystal clear. By obtaining Oilex in addition to nuclear weapons, Zanzibar Land was trying to establish its economic and military superiority over the entire world. Concerned about the situation, the United States ordered Roy Campbell, Commander-in-Chief of High-Tech Special Forces Unit Foxhound, to rescue Dr. Marv. Campbell was a former member of Foxhound. He brought back Solid Snake, the man who single-handedly brought down the armed fortress nation of Outer Heaven 4 years ago, and asked Snake to bring back both Dr. Marv and Oilex, successfully infiltrating Zanzibar land, and with the help of CIA agent Hori and others, Snake was able to go deep into the fortress and meet again with Dr. Petrovich, the chief engineer of Metal Gear at Outer Heaven. He too was abducted to Zanzibar land and was forced to develop another Metal Gear. He told a surprised Snake of an even more shocking fact. Big Boss, the man Snake had defeated at Outer Heaven, turned out to be the general commander of Zanzibar land. Snake rescued Dr. Petrovich in cooperation with Natasha, Dr. Marv's guard and former Czech international secret police agent, and then headed for the confinement facility deep in the fortress to save Dr. Marv. When Petrovich and Natasha crossed the narrow suspension bridge over the deep valley, a missile blew the bridge away. Natasha flew into the air because of the explosion. While unable to do anything to save Natasha, Snake started hearing a well-known voice. "Hey Snake, we are good buddies. I can let you go. Just leave this place at once." Grey Fox.
Aww.
Snake saw Grey Fox controlling Metal Gear, the best soldier in Foxhound who, after the fall of Outer Heaven, disappeared as if he followed Big Boss, losing Natasha in front of his eyes and letting Petrovich get taken away. Snake screamed, "Fox, I will not give up." After a series of deadly battles with mercenaries, Snake finally made it to Dr. Marv's confinement facility. However, he arrived too late. He saw Dr. Marv's corpse and Petrovich, who could do nothing but just stand there. Petrovich told Snake that Dr. Marv could not withstand the repeated tortures because of heart problems. Snake then received an emergency call from Hori. The information she supplied was very shocking. Petrovich had been voluntarily visiting Zanzibar land to develop Metal Gear. The abduction of Dr. Marv was conducted under the directions of Petrovich himself. After the truth came out, Petrovich attacked Snake, but Snake easily put an end to him and obtained the structural plan of Oilex. When trying to escape, Snake was confronted by Metal Gear again, controlled by Grey Fox. The tremendous battle took place in the underground base. Snake finally succeeded in destroying Metal Gear. However, Grey Fox did not submit and challenged Snake to the final battle. In the midst of a minefield, Snake and Fox fought without any weapons, a fist-to-fist duel involving no hatred or murder intent. During the weird moment of purity, the two were bound by forces transcending words and emotion. Snake won the tough but pure battle against Grey Fox. However, there was still someone else Snake had to fight, Big Boss. Just like 4 years ago at Outer Heaven, Big Boss was waiting for Snake. One who has experienced the tension of battle can never leave the battlefield. I am the one giving you something to live for, and that is war. Snake was infuriated at the arrogant Big Boss. There is only one battle I have to fight, to free myself from you, to shatter the nightmare. Big Boss, I will kill you. With the structural plan of Oilex, Snake and Hori escaped from Zanzibar land on a rescue helicopter. Snake once again saved the world. However, there was no smile on his face. Big Boss's last words kept ringing in Snake's head. Whoever wins our battle does not end. Whoever wins, our battle does not end. The loser is freed from the battlefield, but the winner must remain there, and the survivor must live his life as a warrior until he dies. Snake then disappeared into the white lands of Alaska alone. Alright.
Alright.
Okay. Whew. So that's the history.
Are we all caught up?
I think we're all caught up. Any questions, Chippants?
Grey Fox. He
Yes.
is currently part of the Fox force, right?
He was part of Foxhound.
Foxhound.
And he was working for Foxhound in I was going to say Resident Evil 1, in Metal Gear 1, okay?
Yeah.
But in and then by the end of the Metal Gear 1, it looked like he left with Big Boss, or he just left. In Metal Gear 2, we find that Grey Fox is back, and he's in Metal Gear, and he's fighting Snake.
When you say Metal Gear, that is the nuclear
machine
tank that walks up on 2 legs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think like a metal dinosaur, Chippants.
I wouldn't have called it Metal Gear, to tell
What
you
would
the
you
truth.
call it? Would you call it Dino Gear?
Pete?
Pete.
Stompy Pete?
That's a pretty scary name. Stompy Pete. So anyway,
Stompy Pete go boom boom.
It's like Grey Fox switched sides, but he was destroyed again by Snake. At least they had their final battle.
Okay.
So,
Well,
there we have it.
alright.
Alright,
I
friends.
feel like I'm ready.
Without further ado, go grab your sandwich and drink while I try and take us through Metal Gear Solid.
He winks at you, Pug. Did you see that? It's like a picture up on a wall. You don't know if it's haunted or not. This one winks.
Let's play.
Save and quit.